Hello and welcome to the Yarnings Podcast. I'm Christine and I'll be your host. This is episode 84. I think I'm calling it After the Storm. It is Thursday, March 24th, and it is 50 degrees here in Vancouver, Washington, where I am recording. You are noticing that I am still on the couch in my bedroom rather than in the craft room if you watched last week. I haven't reset things in all of the rooms yet after our Gamestorm adventures and having guests. So once this couch goes back, then all of my stuff will move back into the craft room as it should be, and then I will be back in my normal spot. But for today, this was a whole lot easier, and I'm still in heavy recovery mode from the excitements, of which I will tell you some about in the future segments. So let's move into some yarnings and adventures in knitting. The biggest work in progress is what I'm working on right now, and if I get to the end of the row, I can show you a whole lot better. I spent much of my time during Gamestorm and the week of working on one of the whips that was new last week. I had cast on 2 new things last week. I also have my socks, but they didn't end up coming along with me. I just had this with me most of the time, so it got a lot of work on it. And in fact, this row is a little longer than I was thinking. I thought I was farther along on it. I needed something that was good conversation knitting, something that I could work on and not have to pay too much attention. And while this had some sections that needed more attention than others, I was able to do some of those harder sections when I had a little bit of downtime on my own, and then pick it up while I was gaming, which I did quite a bit of during the last week. If I wasn't gaming, I was out hanging out with friends and doing fun things like that. So this definitely was good conversation knitting. The pattern, since I'm still not at the end of the row, the pattern is the Therapy Shawl by Laura Ayler. I am using another Crafty Girls Twinkle Sock, Sun Valley Fibers 80/20 Merino Nylon Sock, and a little bit of 45 degrees, which was a twisted base that Black Trillium dyed back in the day. So I used a little splash of that for some added color. Now I have told you all of the exciting details, and now I am almost at the end of my row. And the beginning and the ends of the rows are important, and I do have to pay a little more attention because I have to do a pattern, because it is a biased shawl where there's something that decreases on one end and increases on the other end so that it goes diagonal. So look at this. So I started out with the pink, which is the 45 degrees north, and then I striped it with the another Crafty Girl in the Galactic colorway, which is based on Race for the Galaxy, so it was very appropriate to bring with me to a game con. So it does a mesh, and then it goes back to the striping, and then it does some solid, and then some different striping with the Sun Valley as the lavender in there, goes back to the mesh that is the same Galactic, and now I'm on to the final striping section. So I still have this much of the Galactic, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stripe until I'm almost out of this. So, excuse me, I'll have a nice longer striping section, but it will make it a bigger shawl. I have a ton of this left because I have only used it for these 2 stripe sections, and it's 1 row out of 3, so you do 2 rows of the galactic, 1 row of the iris. So not very much of this has been used yet, but there will be a big solid section at the end. I will probably throw just a couple of rows of the pink in just for added fun somewhere within this section. But I would rather use more of the yarn up and have it be a generous shawl, because that's how I like to wear my shawls. So right now, it is already at my wingspan. So that's pretty awesome. And I think I had done the first, where was I? Where did I get to? I had done the first striping section before Gamestorm started, and then I had moved on to the mesh. And by the time I was actually gaming on the second day, I was onto the solid, and so that was super easy to do while we were playing. And then I've worked on it some this week. So I'm really pleased with how this is turning out, and I've knit all of these happy memories into my shawl. I got to carry it around in my kitchen counter crafter bag with dice on it that my friend Angel gave me. There are maple stitch markers on there just in case I needed some stitch markers, even though I didn't think I was going to. But because that was fun, I've got my Gamestorm badge in there still. And I have the cute little matching pouch, has scissors and tape measure in it. So this was very fun to get to carry around. Someone stopped me and wanted to know details on where it came from so that they could try and get one. I was amused by that. So, okay. So that's the first work in progress. The socks I didn't work on, but this is the Maris pattern sweater by Elizabeth Doherty, and I have the back done up until where the armhole shaping happens. And now I have picked up and started on the right shoulder. So you can kind of see the way that the angles of those stitches go just from the colors there. So I've picked up and done some short rows. There's short rows on both the back and the front, so that is coming along nicely. I'm hoping I can get to where I am at the same spot for both the front and the back, and then I'll start alternating. I didn't alternate on the back, and you can see that there are some pooling in there, but I'm really not that worried about it. I will alternate once I start going in the round, and that will be fine. I think that's going to be totally sufficient because these smaller pieces were going to be more difficult. I mean, little bit of this, little bit of this, and so I decided that would be the spot where I would start alternating. I am loving this yarn. This is Marigold Jen. Marigold Jen. This is her sock weight, 80-20. Oh, 75-25, sorry. In the Lady Violet colorway. So I'm calling it my Lady Maris. So yeah, and it's just as beautiful in the skein. I really like this. This is going to be beautiful. Match my eyes. I have pretty purples on my eyes today. It's a little harder to see them in here. The light over on this side is a little more yellow than my studio lights in my craft room. So, yay! Back! This is my April sweater. So I am getting a head start on working on April, and the lace pattern is pretty fun. It's a little challenging, but it's pretty fun, and it's going to block out just beautiful. Isn't that neat? You can see the holes in the wall back there. going to block out so nice though, so I'm really excited about that. I am getting really good gauge, stitch gauge, but not row gauge, so I've had to adapt a little bit to make that work. Sometimes that happens. I did have to go up needle sizes, so I shouldn't be but I really do like, that surprise, that's what I meant. But I really do like how it blocked out. So I think it's going to be just lovely. Seems, oh no, yeah, it looks just fold up just a little bit, like it just seems like it settled in after it washed, and so yeah, I am really looking forward to wearing this. I am going to make it longer because I do have 4 of these skeins, which are 463 yards, so I will make it longer. And I could make it longer sleeves, but I might just make it more like a duster, where it's got the 3/4 or half sleeves, and then longer to go over skirts and stuff. So that's my thought on that. So those are my 2 main works in progress this week. Obviously, this one got the most love, and the socks did not. Yesterday, I did pick up my spindle for a little while. There's a nice big long piece there, and I only have that much left, so there are two cops in there, 2 turtles in there. This is 3 Fates, her 2515 merino nylon, superwash merino nylon. And so I have 2. This one is very close to being full, and then I will get 1 more. I'm kind of thinking it'll be a 2-ply, and it really is nice. It's spinning up a little slow. That's okay. It's going to be very nice. I have not put as much time into it recently, so that's probably more than anything. Stitch through time, I have not sewn anything. For our knitting community, we do have a knit-along going on, and we have some wonderful entries where people were talking about their yarning a tale, what they have been knitting on and telling a story. So I would like to hear your story behind a project that you are knitting, just finished, or have finished so far this year, and tell us a bunch of fun details, things that made you choose it, or reasons that you worked on the combination of yarn and pattern that you did. But give us a fun story. Tell us a little more. Tell us the things that you've knit into that project that make it memorable. And we will finish that contest up the end of March. So you are almost, that is very soon now. Okay. So, Sagas of Geekery. I played 7 games last week. My phone cord is dying, and so it's just randomly connecting and disconnecting. So I played 7 games during Gamestorm. So Gamestorm is a gaming con, and they have a big library of board games you can check out and play while you're there. It is a 4-day event. It starts at noon on Thursday and does not close. You can play all night if you want to, all the way through Sunday at 4. So it's definitely a exciting time. We didn't play that long, but the guys did play more than me. We had 2 guests that stayed here. And so all in all, there were 8 of us adults and 4 kids. And then an extended group of some of their families that came to visit them from around here. So several of our meals were 12 people, 24 people, I think was the second one. So we had some big meals with extended family for some of our guests. The guys that all came were friends of Eric's from high school. These are guys that have been gaming together, hanging out together for years. And so there's some great connections and tons of fun stories and history. And I have become very dear friends with one of the guys' wife. And so I got to spend time with Amelia and their kids. And she didn't come to play games. She came and hung out here in town and spent some time with me. I got to show them my library. I go to my library every week. It is a fun place to sit and craft in between an appointment and a date night with my husband. So I call it my library. I don't actually work there. I just go and utilize the library tables and chairs and shelves and whatever else, and set myself up to hang out there for a few hours when I do that. And so I got to show them the children's department, which is fabulous, and that was super fun. So between that kind of thing, I did go play some games. I spent afternoons playing games with the guys. So I played Viticulture, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about because it was the game that most of the guys said was their favorite of the weekend. I played Macau, which I've played, and this one is mine. I've played Macau every Gamestorm for the last while, or during a Gamestorm game day, because it's out of print, and so I can't buy it. And so when I see it, I try and play it. That one and Notre Dame is the same way. I can't play it very many places, and so when I see it and I get a chance, it's a good one to choose. We played Istanbul, which is one of my 10 by 10s for the year, so I have a goal of playing that game 10 times, so that helped me get further on my 10 by 10. Let's see, I've played it 3 times so far this year. We played Codenames, and we played quite a few rounds of that. That one we don't own. That one was a gift to one of the guys, and it was okay. It wasn't my kind of game, but it was interesting. Took a lot of brains. And then we played Imperial Settlers, which I don't own yet, but it's been on my wish list, so I might need to pick that one up. And Sail to India, which we own, but it's 3+ players, and so I don't play it very often. I've played it once. And then we moved on to the game store so that the guys could buy some things, and played Isle of Skye. And Isle of Skye is a really more interesting Carcassonne type game, and I'd really like to own that one. That one is a fun, you bid on the tiles, and it gives you a lot more options than Carcassonne just drawing a tile. So, excuse me, that one is also on my wish list. So those were my 7 games that I played over the 4 days. 4 days. So I'm using an app called BG Stats, and I enter in all my plays, and I enter in who played, and put my pictures in, and that is very fun for my stats. And then I push that information right to BGG, BoardGameGeek.com, which then shows up on my sidebar on my blogs. So it's all connected. So Viticulture is a worker placement game where you are building wine. You have a group of workers that are doing tasks in your field, and so you determine the worker wake up. You put your workers out to do things like building fields, making buildings and structures that help your fields, planting the vines, and fulfilling orders. You make grapes, and then you turn it into wine, and then you fulfill wine orders. So you go through this whole process of winemaking, and you work towards the goal of owning the most successful winery in Tuscany. So this is the Essential Edition. The regular edition and the Tuscany expansion, have been hard to find. And so when we found the Essential Edition, it's up here on the top, which contains some elements of Tuscany, we went ahead and got that. I'm going to show you the board. So you have a personal board in front of you that has grapes and wines, and you move your tokens from one to the other as you're making them, and then all of the buildings that you have to help you. Oh, it's German on the other side. Didn't notice that. We have German side, the English side. Good thing I was showing you the right side. And then, so that's your personal board. And then there is the main board. Which, there's a German side and an English side. I didn't even notice that. Let's see how I can hold this up. So, you have cards that get placed out on the top, which are vines and wine orders and visitors that can help you gain stuff, and all of the actions that your workers will take out in the fields. So it's a really interesting worker placement. It's something that has a really clear path of here's what you have to do to get towards winning. There are some alternate things you can do, but for the most part, there's a clear path, and I really appreciate that. All of these cards are all messed up in here. I have a feeling that when it was in Eric's bag, it got a little askew. May have to fix that. So I know that Rebecca, Engineers Falcon of the Fiber and Dice podcast, that she doesn't normally like worker placement games, but she enjoyed this one. And so that was kind of a ringing endorsement for me. Sarah, another crafty girl, the one who dyed my Galactic yarn, she also has this one and has been playing it. And so when I saw the Essential Edition on the shelf, I was like, yes, let's get this. So I am glad that it was such a success, that the friends enjoyed playing it as well. And I am glad that we own it. And I have added it to my 10 by 10, which means my 10 by 10 is now 11 by 10, but I'm not changing the hashtag. But I do want to play it 10 times during the year. And I've played it 3 now, so it's in the same boat as Istanbul. Most things I've only played twice this year. March was a lot harder for me because my back wasn't quite up to sitting at the table, so hopefully April will be better. So that's Sagas of Geekery now playing. For now, watching, I did finish Scandal Season 4, but Season 5 is not available from the beginning on ABC app, so I stopped there. And so I started Grey's Anatomy. I needed something easy to watch on my iPad because I'm not in the room with the TV, and so I didn't want to watch something that I actually wanted to watch really closely. I've been enjoying some of the details on numbers, and so I didn't really want to move that onto my iPad, which is not as easy to watch. So, Grey's Anatomy. I am almost done with Season 2. That has been a good diversion while I've been recovering. Fanciful Chatter. I had lots of fun picking out fun outfits and jewelry combinations during Gamestorm. I got to wear some of my favorite new knitted things, and that was lots of fun. I enjoy expressing myself that way. For the happiness continues. I am grateful. Grateful for the coming Easter weekend. Grateful for the time spent with friends. Grateful for the time to recharge after spending the time with friends. Getting all the strength back. There was a lot of extra mental work and physical work during the weekend, the long weekend, and so I'm regaining that. And I feel grateful, and I'm glad to be in a place that I can recognize that and be able to share that with others, that it is helpful to think about what is grateful in my life. Okay, I think that will do us for today. I'm gonna let you guys go, and I will tell you how you can connect with me on the internet. I am Christine with a K on Ravelry. I am KDLB, just the letters, on Instagram. The Yearnings podcast group on Ravelry is where you can find the contents and discussion, and the show notes with links to everything that I talk about are on yearningspodcast.com, all squished together. Alrighty, well, I will see you all again very soon. Thank you for watching, and until next time, that's the story. Bye.